accept. No, listen, I accept what you're saying. No, just a moment. No.
Let's tie it down.
It's not a question of opinion. It's a question of. Hold on, I heard what you're saying. I accept what you're saying.
But do you agree the Quran says that?
Listen, I accept that's what Quran says.
Thank you. Right.
Okay, now
that's all I was asking.
No, hold just a moment. This is quite
an effort to get you to.
This is quite important. You see, one has to understand something again. That Quran is supposed to be a final word, right? The final word doesn't mean what? It means that the verification of anything esoteric regarding human nature. Esoteric. Now, esoteric experience...
Where does the Quran say it's to do with anything
Just a moment, let me finish, please.
Could you substantiate your claim?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that claim, by the way. The Quran deals with everything esoteric?
Anything that comes from God... Anything comes from God. You're not familiar with it. Well, the thing is... The problem is...
What do you mean by
I have one. It's okay. But what is that you want?
No, it's just you said that the Quran talks about everything esoteric about human beings.
Because of course.
Can I just finish?
Yes.
It's something. If you mind doing me a favour, when you don't have to do this, but I'm just asking you if you wouldn't mind doing it. When you make claims about the Quran like that, would you mind just telling us where in the Quran it says these things that you're claiming?
Okay.
Because
it's very simple.
Hang on, I'm not familiar with all the things you're saying, and I've read the Quran. I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
But I just don't recognise.
You're right. Cool. Good. Yeah. Got myself involved in a conversation which I don't want to be in.
First of all, just a moment. Please don't make a show.
Do you know about the debate tomorrow? The Michael Brown debate? Michael Brown and Zakir Hussain.
Do you see God?
No, I'm looking at you.
No.
Yeah.
When you answer the question, do you have a problem to answer a direct question?
No, I did say no.
No, okay, leave it there.
No, I'll answer the way I choose, by the way.
Yes, but no, this is a very simple question.
Yeah. My answer was very simple.
I ask you, do you see God?
And my answer was no, I see you.
Okay, that's it. Yeah. Okay, so here's my question. If you don't see God, it means that the entire experience of divinity is entirely internal experience. The experience of your soul is an experience that is inner one. It's not external one. It doesn't mean
are you
I'm not
me
finished.
What my experience
I am not finished. No. I'm saying generally speaking, just like even the revelation of Muhammad, all the holy prophets, every time there was a vision.
Are you a Muslim?
Just a moment. No, I'm not.
Are you a Christian?
You're interrupting, which is rude.
Okay, I'm just asking.
It's rude.
Are you a Christian?
Let me finish my point.
Okay.
Please, would you allow me to finish my point? Therefore, the whole experience of divinity is the experience of the internal natures, the inner experience, which allows us then to see the work of God externally. However, the initial impulse regarding anything spiritual is an inner experience in the first place. So when you ask me, show me in the Quran what it says, actually the entire experience, that you, according to Muhammad, has received, was actually the experience through astral world, which was through visions, not through direct experience, because it was not directly from God, but it was through an angel, which you claim to be Gabriel. That's one. And two, many of them was in the dreams, that's where the soul is actually located in the astral world, which you can only come to understand when you understand the difference between the external self and the internal self, or the inner self and the outer self. Therefore, when you're telling me, so here's another thing regarding Islam. Hold on, just a moment.
Let me speak, please, because it's supposed to be a discussion.
No, because now I want to show you that the Quran is entirely the Quran. You're asking me about show me Quran.
You're just talking at me endlessly.
No. Sometimes the thought is a bit structured.
Okay.
Sometimes the thought is structured. It's not just a one brick.
Will you let me speak?
I will. Thank you. Yes. Sometimes thought is not just a one brick. Sometimes a mud hut. Sometimes a thought is like a castle or a temple. Yes. So I'm trying to say to you, the Quran, if you correctly understand, in fact, can be looked at as a structure that one has to understand entirely through inner self, not the outer self. Go ahead, speak.
Right. My question to you is, are you a Christian?
Yes, I am.
Right. And what do you believe about Jesus?
What do you believe Jesus?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're diverting right now.
Can you just answer my question?
Yes.
Because you were quite strict in me not interrupting or changing the subject. This is relevant. Are you a Christian? Do you believe Jesus is God?
Yes, of course, Jesus is God.
And you believe Jesus died on the cross for your sins?
No. Don't put words in my mouth.
I'm asking you.
No.
Do you believe that Jesus
died
on the cross?
What do I believe regarding Jesus? You can ask. So I can tell you, Christ is that being.
No, don't. Thank you, Nazam. Do you believe Jesus died on the cross for your sins? Is my question to you.
Jesus showed us the way to overcome our mortal state. So right now, as you are, in present moment, you're in a mortal state, yes? We're all going to die. Hold on, you asked me a question. Christ showed us how to overcome it, how to overcome our mortal state. Just a moment. I'm not finished talking about Jesus, so let me tell you. He's dying on the cross. His flesh died on the cross. However, Christ himself then descended into abyss to resurrect every single holy prophet, every soul that experienced death, including Adam. So whoever experienced death was then brought out of abyss through Christ, because he was the one, he was the only one with power to overcome death, and death was powerless in regards to his life.
I didn't ask you, I think you're preaching a bit, which is
you're
right to
asking
do
me.
so.
You're asking me.
So the question is, why did Jesus die on the cross, in your view?
So I just told you. You didn't hear me.
No, I didn't. Explain again at the beginning.
Okay, I will be very slow.
Yeah.
Because we are in a mortal state, therefore we know what death is. Sooner or later, we all gonna experience death. Now, death itself is a being. It's a being which is gonna claim you.
Death is a
Yes,
being.
of course it's a being. Everything is a being. Tree is a being. Nature is a being. Nature is a being. Sun is a being. Everything is a being.
Death has a personality, an ontology.
No, listen.
It has
now
an
you're speaking.
existence.
Now you're speaking in a human way.
Yes,
it's an
I'm
entity.
a human being. I
Death,
can't help it.
Death is an entity. And because it's the same entity.
Can it be an entity?
Of course it's an entity.
What is it?
It's very simple because.
It's not a thing.
No, I'll give you an answer. You ask how can it be an entity?
I
Because
don't see how it's a thing.
you ask how can it be an entity, so let me tell you. Because before this world was created, everything that was created through eternal rounds. And eternal rounds in itself are eternal rounds. Rounds.
Oh, realms.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Now all those rounds they're all actually filled with beings, and the being which human being knows is the being of death. Death itself, you can see it says in the Old Testament, which Muslims supposed to follow, says it's entered. Then enter upon the eating the fruit of knowledge, that has entered. So actually, when you say to me, how can it be being? How can it enter the realm of man?
It says that
Of course it does. Read it. Read it. It's the book of Genesis. Of course, please read it. So the death is a being, and Christ showed us how to overcome our mortal state.
How did he show us to overcome our mortal state?
By renouncing ourselves in our present manifestation. Therefore, everything, because we all have sinful thoughts. We all have violent thoughts.
How does Jesus do this? You give me the theory.
By renunciation.
What does that mean?
Self-renunciation.
Right.
We renounce. We're renouncing.
Excuse me. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
I don't understand why, in your view, how Jesus' death affects that, because Jesus could just be a wise teacher who could teach us to deny ourselves, like the Prophet Muhammad did. He said,
no, that would be like
for example. We're not supposed to give in to our nafs, our desires. We're supposed to submit to God. Now, Jesus, of course, taught the same thing because he was a Muslim prophet. But what I don't understand is why.
Now you're preaching. He was not a Muslim prophet. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Why does Jesus have to die to demonstrate that when simply teaching it like
it's very simple.
It's
very simple. It's because Christ came to the world, as in his own words he said, "Follow me. I am the way." So, hold on, you're asking questions.
What is he the way to?
Hold on, you're asking questions.
What is he the way to?
Listen, I'm not preaching. I'm trying to show you logic. I'm trying to show you logic, and I tell you why I'm not preaching. You're not going to hear it anywhere else. Listen. Think for a moment of the women somewhere in Africa right now, living in the worst hellholes in the world, where they're being raped while it's dark, when they have no escape. Wouldn't they say, "God, take this cup of suffering away from me"? They would. So when Christ came to the world, he came and he addressed everyone. He came those who are being tortured, who are being abused, who are being killed, and those also who have things. He came to address everyone.
How does he help
That's
people
why he
who
came.
are being tortured? I genuinely don't get this.
I know you don't get it.
A man who lived
get it.
No, I don't. A man who
I know,
lived
amazing.
A man who lived 2,000 years ago, in your view, who died on the cross, in your view, somehow this helps a woman in Africa who's been tortured. Can you explain to me how?
It's because she knows what he meant. When Christ, I told you, he said, I'm the way, the truth, the life.
What is he the way
when
to?
he said the
What is he
words,
the way to?
when he said the words to God. So because we're in a mortal state, first you have to overcome mortal state. The reason why you don't see God right now, or the angels, or the heavenly realms,
How does it help
is
the woman
because you're in a
being
mortal
tortured?
state.
So coming back to your example, a woman in Africa being
Yes.
tortured, how does Jesus, your belief in Jesus' death on the cross,
Yes.
help this poor woman in Africa being tortured now? This is your
Because she
example.
knows what he meant.
What did he mean?
He meant that
don't get
the burden of evil in this world is so unbearable for any soul. So when this woman, for example, if she's being, let's say, tortured or raped, whatever else,
Yeah.
when she knows such words have been spoken, she said the same words, and the God has entered the heart of every human soul.
how is she
so
helped?
she knows it.
No, how does
Those
no-
words were never spoken
what does
before.
she know? What does she know?
That the words came to the world
The what?
that she can relate to.
What can she? I don't get. How does that help? What is she relating to that will help her being
The
tortured?
unbearable, the burden of evil.
Right. So I'm a woman being tortured, and I think what to help me?
You think, of course, if you be really tortured, which obviously is being hypothetically right now, obviously, by the way you're ignorant by the posture, if you really will be tortured, you will obviously want it to end. And if there will be no way for you to end it,
So how does-
because there will be no will, hold
How
on,
does your message
because
help
there will be
her?
no will of
No,
your
I don't
own.
get it. How does your message help her being tortured?
Is because then she understands that actually that there's a path laid out, that she's gonna lose hope when she's gonna say, "Oh, God, you must have abandoned me." So let's say she's a God-fearing
So
woman.
she
Hold on,
abandoned
you're
her.
asking a question.
Okay.
Let me give you an answer.
I'm just following it
Hold
through
on,
very carefully
hold on.
in stages.
Yes, exactly.
So I don't understand.
When you say,
Do you wanna join in?
how would you help?
When I
Because
see
she
you,
will
I
know
have
that
to stay back.
such a woman, for example, or child or man would be,
Anyways,
God, you
he
must have
just talks.
abandoned me. You must.
Maybe you
let's say
understand.
it's a God-fearing person.
I
Yes.
understand him better than
Let's
me.
say, what have I done?
Do you know about the debate? There's a debate tomorrow. This is tomorrow.
Where?
Sorry. You see,
They're going to experience hopelessness. They're going to experience being abandoned. They experience all those things, and yet it's the path to God.
How is feeling? Let me. You see, what you said here is a woman who feels completely abandoned by God, and you think this is a path to God. I don't get it. It doesn't make
It's
sense to me.
because it makes
And she's
sense.
been tortured.
It makes sense.
I don't get it.
It makes sense because what did Christ said. You see, I understand you don't understand.
I
these
don't.
things. Okay. Christ Himself said these words: "My kingdom is not of this world."
Yeah.
Whoever belongs to God does not belong here.
So remember, we're talking about a
If you
woman
have
in Africa
if you have a
who's been
fridge,
tortured.
If you have a fridge full of food,
How is she helped
a
by
nice
that?
house, that means
Okay.
you belong here.
All right.
If your fridge is empty, if you're hungry, if you're an orphan, if you're hopeless, that means that this is not your world, and that means when God said, "My world is not of this world," that means
Do
you
you
belong
understand?
to God.
Right. So I'm not being funny here, and I'm not very bright. I actually don't understand what you're saying. I don't
it's
understand
amazing.
how a woman who's been tortured in Africa could have this kind of knowledge. That's
Not
Gnosticism.
knowledge. She
Well,
speaks the
not
same
knowledge.
words like Christ.
Yes, but you see, if a woman says and feels, "I'm abandoned by God," she's not helped in any way. Her situation is made even worse by despair and alienation.
Yeah, you don't- I know you
I
don't
don't
get it.
understand how this is in any way helpful
It's
in your religion.
because-
It doesn't sound your religion is very helpful.
It's because I told you, you believe that this world is the world that God has created. However, what was
you
what
don't?
was-
You don't?
Just a moment.
You don't believe that?
Just a moment, please. When Satan tempted Christ, what did he do? He took him up the mountain. He showed all the kingdoms of this world, and what did he say? All this was handed down to me. I will give it all to you if you bow down and worship me. Therefore, who is the ruler of this world? Yes, it's
Okay.
Satan.
Okay.
And
I
what I'm
think-
saying to you, whoever is actually rejected by this world, that means that's already indication for you that belongs to the
Okay.
world of the kingdom
I'll
of God.
I'll just say my final thing here. I've asked you repeatedly to
can I complain?
explain how, in your example, not mine, a woman who's been tortured in Africa, I'm not quite sure why Africa's got to do with it, but,
Why not?
but she's being tortured. You offer her a religion or a worldview that says she will be despairing, she will be alienated from God, and this will somehow be her salvation, but you've not, in my view, explained how at all. So therefore, I'm now going to thank you very much for explaining all this to me. I'm going to end the I'm going to end the
clueless,
conversation
right? You're clueless.
because I don't think you have explained.
Amazing,
So there
amazing.
you go. Maybe
You know-
other people can
you know,
understand. I don't
think-
understand.
I think stones will move faster than you, which is quite incredible, but it's okay. Enjoy yourself. You really think so?
And it's good to be insulted by a Christian at the very end, isn't it?
Yeah, it's comparing stones.
Anyway.
Why are you insulting?
I'm sorry that wasn't very interesting. I was genuinely trying to understand him, and just step by step, what do you mean? And he was dancing all over around it, and I had the foggiest idea what he was talking about. But hey, that's Speaker's Corner, so enjoy it. I was just curious. I was thinking, when's he actually going to get it? Like, he could example talk to a woman. Okay, well, how does your religion help her?
Well, he keeps thinking, the emotional argument will just take everyone and the story goes away, but it just keeps going and going. No, it is. I think that's what it comes down to. You just have to go around in circles. You go to a point where I forget what you asked. Like, what he said went so long, I didn't forget what you asked.
That's the point. He just danced around all over the place. I think I forget the question. But I wasn't going to forget the question because I'll let you forget it. And he was making all these claims, and yet when he pushed on it, it did nothing.
No, it's funny. This conversation already brought back the lines so this argument over and over again. It's just circles and circles. Any excuse they can have, just to deny it. Because he understands that what he's saying doesn't make sense. It's even the stuff he's saying, it's the first time about death being an entity, it being a death.
That comes from the almost personified I know that show is a metaphor or an actual metaphysical reality. You kind of probably get it from that. But again, you always ask questions about how could there be a thing that's right? Yeah, it's just crazy like God. That was my response. He didn't want to go there either.
It's funny, like throughout this conversation, like he'd say something that literally he was Muslim, like he'd be jumping in and out of the religion because he claims first the earth was created by God, then he's like, wait, let me finish. He doesn't address
You Muslims believe God created. Yes. And you don't.
what do you believe? Wait.
What do you believe? I mean, what are you talking about? I thought you're a Christian. Christians are supposed to believe God created.
It's something I realized after watching a lot of these debates, especially with Christians and religions, they will throw themselves under the bus and try and get something off of us. We never rest. It's always like they talk to you like the atheists most of the time, right? Yeah, it's always so surprising.
Well, they just use Western secularism to criticize Islam, but they support the Bible at the same time.
Right. It's like
The Bible is not a liberal secular book.
it's like whose team are you on?
It really isn't.